Nice. Then let's begin with the questions, right?
Yeah, we can just, before we begin, we could clear out the mood a bit. It's nice to finally meet you, Carson, after chatting for so long. Here's
Mhm.
me, face reveal. That's me, Sophia. Here's Kirill and Maria, our game designer. And Carson, finally we meet after so much discussion, so many videos together.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's been a while.
yeah, we appreciate your videos. We really like them, and you're one of our favorite content creators. So it's great opportunity to be on your channel. And it's something we have never done before, so it's new for us as well as it is to you. We're kind of nervous as well, but we're hoping that everything goes well and the community will respond in a positive manner to our answers, to the questions you have provided. Great questions, by the way. So yeah, we should begin with. You could ask the questions to us, and
Okay,
before we begin, I should introduce the team to the audience, to our members.
I will begin with the first 5 questions which I made, which are my personal questions, the questions I picked by my own, and then I will ask them the 10 questions that I collected from the community. So let's begin with the very first question. Which is why has update 55 been introduced this way? What are the long-term plans that justify this kind of changes?
And by this way, you mean conversion limits or communication? Or...
With this question, my aim was to mainly focus on the new upgrading system and why it was introduced this way. I mean, without removing the conversion limits, but also the conversion cost for each wildcard.
Yeah, so I guess I'll pick this one up. It's the most holistic question about the update, and probably it would be hard one to ask because it's a tough decision we made, and we know it's unpopular, and also it's obvious that you would start with that because that's pretty much everything community currently is discussing, ignoring everything else we did. But yeah, okay, we bear with that. You see, we have that vision of great competitive game where you can just, thinking of MOBA, maybe Fortnite, you can start the game, you can pick your character, and you can enjoy the game. And that's pretty much the direction we're moving. We're having several tiers, not all in one. We have 10 multiplayer tiers, for instance, in Classic Season. We have 5 leagues in Gauntlet. So some cars have specific niche to compete, other cars are just best in the game and should compete with each other. And to reach this direction, we need each car to have some specific niche it takes, a specific tier in Classic multiplayer, maybe a specific tier in Gauntlet. And if we speak of 1860 cars, that's the highest class in the game and probably the one which suffered the most, because players cannot choose Centenario now and skip all the stuff we did with the recent car releases, which we were doing for the past year. And our direction was countered by the economy of the game, because we had this, you call it hybrid, right? So, right, let's start with broad picture. Before update 55, we had basically 3 different recipes for upgrading the car. It was Legacy Max Pro, it was Legacy Kids only, and it was the newest one, hybrid, with both Pro Kits and Car Kits, which recommended itself pretty well in terms of progression. It involves full systems of the game. Like you need to play the festival, you need to grind multiplayer to gather resources and convert them into cars, and also you need credits to convert wildcards to upgrade the car. And it was the system which covers everything in the game, which makes you investing your time into all the mods, and works the best for us. But in the same time, we had those like 100 and something cars which used legacy systems and didn't had such a privilege of inventing everything. And we basically had two options from long-term perspective. Well, three options: either discard the idea of having every car useful and make some old cars less useful, or we could do what we did and make old cars to not just perform like the new cars, because you in your reviews also seen a lot of rebalances which made cars actually useful in multiplayer, actually competitive. And before those rebalances, they were just like, they had no clear application. And third option was to literally nerf cars which were in competitive ranks but had legacy system. And to narrow it down, our choice was basically either give up on having a competitive environment which goes completely out of the way from our vision for the game, or do what we did, or nerf Centenario, to put it simple. And we didn't want to nerf Centenario. We want players who had their cars fully upgraded to still have it fully upgraded. We wanted Centenario to compete with Faraday Futures. And to make it possible in the Asphalt of the future, we need to make them equally complex to upgrade, equally holistic to upgrade. Because, well, we have a dream that in the future, after update 55, you would select the car you would like to upgrade next based on how it performs, based on how you like it, not based on how easy it is to upgrade. Like, I want this car because it was added in 2014, and not because I like it itself. So that was pretty much our background behind this decision.
I understand.
Speaking of limits itself, you see, we lived with this system for quite a while, for more than a year by now, and all new cars used it. And we were pretty confident in S-Class and A-Class. We had doubts with distributing D-Class cars like D, C, B, which were most of all interesting for newcomers. But we thought that we compensated with ads upgrades. Like you watch the ads video, you upgrade the car, and it allows you to progress early on. And that was pretty much our intention, to see how it goes, to see where are the pain points. For now, we currently see most of pain points on C-Class. We clearly need to decrease the prices there. And another thing which we see is maybe it doesn't make sense to have the same limit for all conversions in the game. So we're looking for maybe separate limit for each class. That's something we'd like to add, but we don't have it in the specific spot of the roadmap yet. So it's maybe next update, maybe update +1, somewhere like this. We'll probably come up with this direction. But our initial idea was like, we have the system for a year, it functions okay. So probably if we interpolate it for the whole roster, it should still be fine. But we'll monitor players' behavior based on metrics we have, based on those who agreed to share their tracking on App Store and Google Play. And from there, we'll see where are the pain points. And for now, majority of pain points is not in S-Class. Like in reality, we haven't had like decrease in amount of possible upgrades player can do or does. What we've seen is a decrease in early game progression. Progression became slower, and that's something we want to address first.
All right. It actually makes sense, but I also understand that you need to check how the players react to these new changes in order to add modifications in the future regarding, for example, as you say, the upgrading costs or the conversion limits. So that's all right. Maybe we see some kind of changes in the following updates, but for now, that was pretty much the answer I expected.
I would like to add that we take community suggestions and reactions into consideration. That's why we ask our community to give us their feedback, be it good or bad. Especially we have, with each update, we have a dedicated update feedback channel on Discord, where even if we don't reply to every single one of these complaints, we read them. we present it to the game team, we discussed it, and the game team takes it into consideration into realizing it into future updates. So that's very important for us, and you should know that we always listen to you. Thank you.
All right, so let's move on to the next question, which is if we will ever see a club system like the one that exists on Asphalt 9 in Asphalt 8.
So that's somewhat complicated questions because we want it. Like, it's really one of the strategic features we want to add to the game because it fits very well with what we have now. We have competitive community. We have a lot of invested players who play, like a lot of players who invest themselves into multiplayer, who spend majority of their playtime in multiplayer, who want to compete, who want these social interactions. And to put it on the next level, we really need clubs. And yes, we want to have clubs. But another topic is we are not sure that we need it exactly in the way they are in Asphalt 9, because we are more competitive, more multiplayer-oriented game, while they're a little bit different. They have different vision, different team, different politics. Yeah, so we want to come up with the design which fits just right for Asphalt 8. It won't necessarily be something which is exactly the copy of Asphalt 9, while well, obviously some generic for industry systems of the clubs would be in place. But the complexity of this question is we cannot estimate it. Like, we have it in our backlog, we're working on the design for it, but we haven't even done the estimations how much would it take to bring it to the game, because we don't have the defined design for this feature yet. So eventually, we want to add it to the game, but we cannot make any promises as for now.
All right, it's okay. I also understand that the games are different, so Kingdom makes sense that the system can be exactly the same, so that's all right. And now let's move on to the next question, which is if there is any chance of making the game 100% online, therefore ending with most of the hackers, with a system more like Asphalt 9 where the whole game is online, and therefore I appreciate that there are a way smaller amount of hackers overall.
Yes, so if you don't mind, I'll cut this question in two parts, because one of them is full online and another one is hackers, because well, a lot of hackers we see can what is called in the can data mine the game. Like, they can see the car, but they cannot use it in multiplayer, or they can use it once and they get they get IP banned after that. So they have to use VPNs, and VPNs do not like to be banned, so they eventually get banned on VPN. So if we speak of hackers, we are constantly fighting them. We are almost each update comes up with some new ways to detect hacks and address them. And most of the time, when like I open the Discord feedback channel and see, look, it's hacker, and check his account, he is banned already automatically right after this race. And another thing is data mine. Data mine is something we barely can do something about, because if the car is present in the client, you can switch client to offline. You can use hacked APK. It won't allow you to use this car on events or multiplayer without getting banned and removed from the leaderboards. But you can see it. You can interact with this data, and that's something we don't see a way to address well. But we hope it doesn't harm players that much. It mostly harms our security. Like, if we have some car added in the game and we haven't even yet completed the contract for it, we are not allowed to launch it. Sometimes it's already in the internet just because it's present in the client. And speaking of full online, it's really hard to switch the infrastructure of the game this late in the development. Like, jokes aside, we have more than 9 years of development put into the game, and switching it completely from offline to online is not an easy task. But we have...
It could be basically like reworking the game like from the beginning. So it's like remaking the game. So it's not that easy.
Yeah, but we are also addressing this with hybrid system. You may have noticed that like upgrades cannot be applied offline. A lot of activities like events with leaderboards cannot be played offline, and that's our way to address it. Like even if we cannot switch it to full online and prevent players from hacking resources for the offline play, we limit all the mods where they interact with other players when they may harm experience of fair players with their like unfair balance or hacked cars or something like that. With them restricting the mod to online only, and there our scripts will find them and ban.
All right. The next question was about the conversion costs being reduced and the converting parts limits and that stuff being removed. But I think that you already answered that question. So I will move to the fifth one. And I mean, I will just skip the fourth one because you already told me the answer. Although that for game law is an elegant system, as you guys said a few months ago, if I'm not wrong, the festivals made the game a bit repetitive and boring for most of the players, as I could appreciate. Even myself, I also noticed that it's not the same. And if it seems that all events won't come back, will there be any kind of changes regarding the way the new cars arrive to the game?
I think for this question, the best fit would be our game designer to answer, Maria.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for the first part. And yes, our game evolves, and we want to add new events, and we want that new events will be replaced. The other one, and about the festival, I want to say that we understand problem what exists now with this event, and we understand that we need to give new life for it, and maybe and I know that in near future we will add some changes for that, and maybe you will get more pleasure from the fest. But about new ones, I think we will surprise you by a new event, and in the end of this year, and it will be like new way to get new cars, and in this event you will find awesome car, and I want to say that you will really surprise about that. So
Spoilers.
Little teasers.
But yeah. I want to share that because we expect a really wonderful event, and on the you said about fest like about boring now, but we want to watch in front to new better sides.
I mean, it wasn't boring at the very beginning of the festivals, because I still remember the very first festival, which was the Lamborghini Terzo Millennio Festival. And that one was something new and was quite interesting. But, you know, after so many years, which I think we have been like 3 years or so with the same festivals, that's why I was forcing myself to ask this kind of question. So thank you so much for the answer, and I'm looking forward to know more about this kind of new event in the upcoming future. Okay, so let's jump to the community questions, as we have already finished with the questions I prepared on my own. And let's begin with the number one, which was the most liked questions, and is: are the Asphalt 8 developers trying to make people quit from Asphalt 8 in order to push the new players to play Asphalt 9?
Awesome question.
Yeah.
The community made the question.
Of course not. Of course, we love our players and want that they stay with us. And how Kirill said, Asphalt 8 and 9, it's two different games with their own audience, and we don't want to push our players in some game. No, we don't want that. We want to push players to come to our game from other games.
Right. I think a lot of players think that Asphalt 8 and Asphalt 9 is made by the same team, same studio, but it's actually run by two different studios. And even though we are a brand and we collaborate a lot, we share our ideas with each other, and we are both Asphalt games, so we have the same vision of this racing games, and it has been always the same. Asphalt 8 and Asphalt 9 are very different, and Asphalt 9 has their own vision, and we have our own vision, and we're not trying to, for example, like, it's not linear. It's not like first Asphalt 8, then Asphalt 9, then Asphalt 10. They are two different games that operate separately at the same time, and both of them are very successful. So we're not trying to, like, merge our audiences or, move one audience to another.
Yeah, and we have a long-term vision for Asphalt 8, and it's not similar to Asphalt 9.
Yeah, also, I think I understand the root cause of such questions, which is basically players think that we ruin the game. But in reality, like, by the way, I think I didn't address your questions about prices of upgrading cars. And it's one of the reasons why players think that we are ruining the game. But in reality, we increase the price of the cars by like 34%. At average, if we don't get confused with price to purchase extra cards you are missing, because on the first day before we stopped upselling cars for fusions, players were thinking that like upgrade costs you several millions, but in reality, if you have 0 cards, and all the cards you need for final stages indeed cost a lot. But applying upgrade itself is increased at average by 34%. And that was, first of all, response to some recent changes in the economy we did. Like, we increased the income of fusion coins in the game almost by twice, like by 100%, with new rewards in Multiplayer and Gauntlet, and plus with advertisement point cuts. And then we realized we are blocked to add new features where we want to give even more rewards. And if prices stay the same, we basically make everything too achievable. Player burn out content faster than we can produce it. And like, we shouldn't add new event, which Masha was teasing. But with these new prices, we still have room to give you more rewards with new activities which we want to introduce. So yeah, it may look like we don't always make unpopular decisions, and I understand that, but on the bigger pictures, it still makes sense, and it's needed for like longevity of the game.
Right, and here I'd like to add that even though we are free-to-play game, so there's some changes that need to be taken into consideration for the economic side of the game. Some things work, some things don't seem to work, but we want to emphasize on skill and performance of the players and always give them opportunity to be competitive, even if they're free-to-play player. Obviously, it would take much longer to achieve all these things, but it is still achievable. To have a very, very cool car in each class, for example, and be very competitive into multiplayer. But on the other hand, these changes that we implement fit into our overall vision that we have for the future, for the plans that we have. Sometimes, unfortunately, we do have to take this sort of decisions because we have some other plans in the future that would not be possible to implement if this change is not taken first. But obviously, in the future, we have some great news, changes in a lot of systems, our game is constantly developing. For 9 years, it has been going strong, and we're still updating it and adding new things, changing things. So we're planning to keep that vision for the future. Thank you.
Well, that actually makes sense. And well, I think that question was indeed already answered. So let's jump to the next question, which is if we will ever see the return of the seasons of this new system to give away rewards and that stuff. Like, for example, we are having right now the Gangstar Vegas season. If we will ever see the return of those seasons that include 2 ultimate upgrades instead of just 1. And if we will see the new feature, which is the direct upgrades added back into the upcoming season.
I want to answer this question. First of all, everything is possible, and we don't know what will be. But now we have a plan for this ultimate upgrades, and rather we will see it in new events, and maybe we will find new ways to add ultimate upgrades. But about the season, I want to do one more spoiler. We want to add another rewards in season season event in future, and maybe it will be even better for some side. It will be. I don't want to share all things about that, but maybe I can say that it will be about cars, like our game. But I think you will like that. About ultimate upgrade, it can be able to another place, maybe in new event, what we expect, and I think you saw in the game direct upgrades. It's not ultimate, not so valuable, but it's important too. So we add it to the season pass and another event. And I want that you understand that ultimate upgrade it's incredibly valuable item, and we did it. We want to share it with you, with players, and we found ways to add this like reward. But maybe it will be not so simple.
Okay, fine. So, being this question answered already, it's time for the fourth one asked by the community, which is why are the new upgrading codes so expensive? Which is the reason behind the fact that, for example, we need to spend 10 million fusion coins and not, for example, 6 or 7 million fusion coins in order to fully upgrade an S-class car? Why that amount? I mean, why it's so expensive on that way, while it could be a bit more similar to what we used to have?
I think our game manager, Kirill, would be the best fit to answer it.
Yeah, I think I somewhat covered it in the previous questions. But yeah, well, first of all, it's round numbers, and it makes perfect sense to like tier 10 requires 10 millions, tier 9 requires 9 millions. It comes in line with our new income of the fusion coins, which we started to give way more than we had like half a year ago. And it still leaves a space for new events with new extra layer of rewards, like to give you something more on top of you get already. And another thing that we still don't thread them like 10 millions for all. We expect to continue using discount coupons. Namely, let me check on October. On October 24, we are going to launch a series of limited time events with discount cards as a reward. First of all, they will be addressing the newcomer cars, and if it proves okay, we'll keep it on a regular basis. So like some pool of recommended for newcomer cars can have down the price. You can have down the prices for newcomer cars with those coupons in regular events. Plus, we want to launch events from time to time with coupons on high-end cars, high-end upgrades. So it's still for part of the vehicles. If you play other events, it would still be 5 millions, not 10.
Okay. No, what I was talking about was the fact that right now, I mean, I counted the overall cost without, spending fusion coins to buy extra part. No, just the bare cost of upgrading an S-Class car. Of course, not all the cars cost 10 million fusion coins, but I just said an S-Class car because, for example, was the most expensive class where you have to upgrade a car. But anyways, let's jump to the next question, which is, where do you want to take Asphalt 8 compared to Asphalt 9 or hypothetical Asphalt 10 in the future? I mean, if you are thinking about keep going with Asphalt 8 through all the upcoming years, or something else?
I guess I'll pick it up. So our vision is to keep developing Asphalt 8 as a social competition game with focus on social and competitive aspects. We feel like we are going a bit too much in the predictable ways. Like we removed the gacha back then, a few years ago. We removed all the random and luck chances, and everything is super predictable. You can exactly calculate how much fusion coins you will receive over the next week, stuff like that. And maybe we went too much in this direction. Maybe we need a bit more of like excitement, luck element in the game. We don't want to return broken boxes. We want you to be able to get the cards you want. But some events maybe should feature more of random, more luck element. And generally, yeah, we want to keep building up on multiplayer, on Gauntlet, on potentially new types of events. In particular, we feel like cups, basic event section of the game is somewhat outdated for today's challenges, and we want to make it new in the upcoming updates, maybe early next year, maybe mid of the next year, but that's one of our big plans for the future. And potentially introduce more features which allows you to interact with other players in a competitive way.
All right. So let's jump to the next question, which is, by removing the max upgrades from the cars, do you plan to give credits any other use apart from converting wildcards and parts?
Yes, we see several applications we want for them in the upcoming systems, but even in the current systems, they have pretty good use. Like you still need to convert your wildcards, and now when you don't need to like keep a part of your credits for applying max upgrades on legacy cars, you can invest into more few conversions of the wildcards. Plus, potentially, if we end up with unlinking wildcards limits, you'll be able to fuse even more. And second thing, which is, I understand that you play this game for many years and you don't care much about that, but for new players, it was really confusing that you need credits both for applying upgrades and to unlocking new cars. And you had to choose if you want to like upgrade your Dodge Dart by level or two, or you want to replace it with your new Audi. And now that's basically separate progression process. You get fusions, you apply upgrades, you get credits, you unlock new cars early in the game. And then by when you need like more upgraded cars with above 6th level of upgrade, you'll start spending credits on fusing wildcards.
Okay. That's nice. That's something like I expected an answer like that, so actually makes sense. All right, this question is a bit explosive, but anyways, the community asks for it, so I just ask: is there little left to stop the development of Asphalt 8, or is it near its end?
Well, I believe this question should be put back to community, because for as long as we see interest in the game, we keep developing it. We have a vision how to evolve it. We have long-term planning. We have like our backlog covers for the very least 3 years more, and in 3 years more in advance, we'll have new ideas, new stuff we'd like to try and introduce in the game. So yeah, pretty much as long as players are interested to play Asphalt 8, we'll keep developing Asphalt 8.
Yeah, basically, we're not planning to kill Asphalt 8. It's quite inverse. We're actually trying to make it better, to develop it, to find ways to make it interesting in the future. And we understand that sometimes changes that are not popular might seem like we're heading into that direction, but no, it's actually for the development of the game and the future vision that we have. So no, we're not dying anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, like let's be honest, we are not only taking care about players. We also understand this game should be maintained. This is server costs, this is hiring new talents, this is signing contracts with licensor, and yeah, so sometimes we need to make change, which makes the game economy more sustainable to unlock us other options. But in the end, it is still needed to develop the game. Like it's not. I don't get revenue share from Asphalt 8, but I needed to get some revenue to sign new contracts with car manufacturers and to hire new talents to make the game even better. It works just like that.
The question was a bit explosive, but well, that was pretty much well answered. So, okay, let's move on to the next one, which is, since now you have to spend more in order to upgrade a car, will the Gauntlet and multiplayer rewards increase?
I don't think so. I don't think we have it in the plans as for now, but we are obviously monitoring the income sources, and if we see the lack of, let's say, fusions, we'll increase it somewhere, maybe in Gauntlet and multiplayer, maybe in some other mod. But also we have, like Masha already teased you, we have plans for a new event, and your income will be increased while this event is active. I hope to finally reach the state when under Asphalt 8 posts on YouTube, we see comments like, when you will launch this new event, not when you launch Car Hunt in Asphalt 9, like I see sometimes now. So yeah, we want it to be really, really fun and interesting for players.
All right. So, whoa, only 2 questions left. Okay, will some direct upgrades be given for free, like in events or multiplayer or something like that?
Again, about upgrades, we partly answer this question, but I like that players answer that. So it's, you understand that it's an important item, and yes, it can be in future for free, but maybe not in multiplayer. And we want that you be able to get it, but I'm not sure that it will be so simple. It's like in the game, because we want that you will have some adventure to get new items. But yes.
She's been pretty modest. We had a call with the economy team like 2 hours ago, and she basically forced them to accept the fact that in the new event, about a quarter of rewards would be direct upgrades.
Yes, I think that I said a lot of spoilers and that one more, but it will appear a new event, and will be you will able to get it by, I don't know how to say, maybe 2 steps.
3 players will be able to get it quite
and with quite a luck, yes.
Oh, okay. So it's time for the very last question, which is, will it be easier to get ultimate upgrades in the future, both generally and for free?
Well, I think Mari answered it, quite a bit, but I'd like to say that Ultimate Upgrade is the most premium item in the game. Therefore, since it is so premium, it's not going to be available so easily and so frequently. That aside, there might be some ways to acquire it in the game without having to pay, but I would not count on it. But on the other hand, if you pay attention to our social media channels, I personally host a lot of giveaways and sweepstakes and contests that have Ultimate Upgrade as a prize. So every month, maybe 2-3 of this sort of contests and challenges happen. If you look at our Facebook page, for example, Discord, we have just recently started Discord exclusive giveaways, which we give away free currency, free upgrades. We gave away free ultimate upgrades as well. So the more a player is in touch with our social medias, the more chances they have to acquire this item for free. So I think it's also equally as important while playing the game to be involved with the community and to pay attention to our social medias, because we have a lot of things planned in that aspect.
Well, so that was everything. I think that all the questions were already answered. I would like to say thank you so much for the chance of doing this Q&A. I mean, it's the very first time ever on the Asphalt community that something like this happens. And you're a honor to be able to do this kind of project. So thank you so much for giving me your answers regarding all the questions related to the game. And well, let's hope for the best about the game in the future. Let's hope all the changes you mentioned come in the near future. And well, that was pretty much everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carson. It was an honor for us to be here, and it's something that we're doing for the first time, developer Q&A, where we actually do our face reveals. So so we are real human beings behind real human, we have human faces. I am community manager, Sophia. You might have seen me on Discord channel interacting with players. So here's me, here's Kirill, our game manager, and our game designer, Maria. And we understand your concerns. We're not only developers, but we also play the game and we love the game equally. And we want to make it enjoyable for us as well, even though we spend so much time with it, right? So I hope the community will appreciate that we answered their questions, and we want to do this sort of things in the future as well if the reception is good from community. So I hope that answers your questions. Thank you a lot for having us, Carson.
Hope to see more of the video, less of them to hate the game, more of them to explain to players our decisions. And that was basically the background for this call, first of all, to like show the broader picture, show our motivations. Maybe if we look more human, our decisions makes more sense for the community. And also, I hope to one day see you versus against your father, because I have people to do too. So that's the video I'm waiting for. Thank you.
Let's see.
And thank you for this possibility to answer, to say something, and to speak with our players with your help. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
I am looking for the better days. Seem like they just stay away whenever I try. There's so many things that I keep in my mind. My friends keep me out and it hurts every time. With all the emotions I built up inside, oh why can't I? Will someone look for me if I disappear? No matter how much that I scream, nobody hears. But I see the light from far away, it's down the line. Maybe I should not give up without a fight, 'cause There will be a time. Oh, 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 oh. There will be a time. Oh, 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 oh. There will be a time.